If you're a projector, manifestor, or reflector type in human design, you are just not here to work like the majority of the population. So if you've ever felt like you can't work like a normal person, or have struggled in a traditional 9-to-5 job, or in a career that requires long hours, or maybe you've just felt like you can't quite keep up with others, it might be because you have what's called an open sacral center in your human design. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you, first off, how to know if you have an open sacral center, how it affects your life, especially around your energy levels and your hypersensitivity to the energy of people and places. I am going to give you the 4 main challenges of having the center open, and also the gifts. And most importantly, I am going to tell you how to be successful in work and in life when you're just not here to operate like 70% of the population. Welcome to my channel on human design, and welcome back to my loyal subscribers. I do appreciate you. If you don't know me, my name is Anna, and I'm a certified and experienced human design reader. Now, I usually don't start with the open centers right off the bat in a first reading with a client, but inevitably by the end of my sessions, I do bring in 1 or 2 of their open centers if they have them, because our open centers show us where we can get pulled off track, because they're where we tend to operate not as ourselves. And my mission in sharing human design is to help you live better by living more as yourself. Quick review on the centers. Everybody has 9 centers on their human design chart. So if you've ever looked up your human design, you may have noticed all those shapes, and everybody has 9 shapes, and those shapes are our centers. You can also think of them as our energy centers. So each center represents how we use our energy in a certain area of life. It could be our communication, or our intuition, or our emotions. Most people have a combination of colored in centers and white centers, but you could have all your centers white, or you could have all your centers colored in. It really depends on your unique design. So the colored in centers are called our defined centers, and our white centers are called our open or undefined centers. Now, there is a nuanced difference between having a white center that's open and having a white center that's undefined. But for the purposes of this video and for simplicity's sake, I'm going to be referring to the white centers as open. Okay, first things first, how do you know if you have an open sacral center? This video is about having an open sacral center. So I'm going to use my chart as an example because I have an open sacral center, and that center is the second square up from the bottom, and I have it circled on my chart. But a hack, if you don't have your chart or never looked it up, but you know your type, only projectors, reflectors, and manifestors can have an open sacral center, which is why they're called non-sacral types. So throughout this video, I'm going to be talking about the non-sacral types, and that just means the manifestors, projectors, and reflectors of the world, all who have an open sacral center. So what are the themes of the sacral center? Whether you have this center colored in or white, defined or open, these are the themes of the sacral center. So it has to do with our energy to work, our vitality, our passion, our creativity, our desire, including our sexuality, and our fertility. The 3 most important things you need to know about having an open sacral center are: 1, your energy, especially to work, is not consistent. You might find that your energy ebbs and flows. You are just not here to be a consistent doer. Number 2, you are sensitive to the energy levels of people and places. And number 3, you can actually magnify and amplify those energies. So having an open sacral center is a bit tricky because 70% of the population have the center defined. Defined again is colored in on their chart, and those are the generators of the world, including manifesting generators. And they're always impacting you with their buzzing energy. So this makes you feel like, oh, I can keep up, or I should keep up, but really you just don't have their battery to go, go, go all day, every day. Let's dive deeper into the challenges of having an open sacral center, and definitely stay till the end because I talk about the gifts of having the center open. So challenge number one is pushing through exhaustion or tiredness just to keep up with others. So it's about learning to honor when your energy is there and when it's not. This might mean stopping to rest, even if it's in the middle of the day. And this can be really challenging, especially when everybody else around you is still going. But this is not about keeping up with the Kardashians, people. The Kardashian sisters are actually all generators, and I'm going to get back to the Kardashians later. But it's really about getting in touch with your unique ebbs and flows of energy. And this might look different for each of the non-sacral types. So for projectors, your energy might ebb and flow in a single day. I know for me, I take a nap every day. You might also find that you have more energy when you're invited or recognized. Remember, your strategy is to wait to be invited and recognized. Manifestors, you might find you get a big surge of energy following an urge to act. So that surge of energy could last 1 or 2 weeks. Maybe you could do a 10-hour workday during that period, but then you really need to completely rest afterwards. And reflectors, I don't know, reflectors are all over the place. So I'd love to hear from reflectors if you've gotten in touch with how your energy ebbs and flows. There's definitely going to be a pattern over the course of your lunar cycle, so the 28 days. But I always find that when reflectors speak for themselves, that we all learn the most. When you ignore your body's need to rest, that is the fast track to burnout. I mean, that's regardless of your type, but especially for the non-sacral types, you can really be susceptible to burnout. Challenge number two is mistaking other people's energy as your own. So it can actually feel really good to be around generators when you have an open sacral center, because it can give you a boost of energy, especially when you're feeling in a low energy. But just know that that energy is borrowed and is not something that you can sustain. Also remember that the open sacral center magnifies and amplifies the energy of the people you're around or the places that you're in. So you might actually be somebody who feels like you have a lot of energy. I know when I go to my strength training class, it's at a CrossFit gym, which is a really amped up place to begin with, and then I'm working out with a bunch of generators. So I can actually feel superhuman in that class, but I just need to know that that's borrowed energy. I generally need to go home and rest after. I don't go to that class every day of the week like other people do. On the flip side, you can also amplify people's fatigue or low energy or even their negativity. People can drain you. I don't know a single manifestor, reflector, or projector who doesn't need to take alone time to decompress from the world. So the remedy for this challenge of mistaking other people's energy as your own or taking on other people's energy is to take space. It's actually recommended that the non-sacral types sleep alone for this reason, so that they give their aura a chance to empty out of the energies that they've picked up throughout the day. Remember, you're really sensitive to energy. Part of the deconditioning work for the non-sacral types, and deconditioning just means letting go of operating in a way that you're not meant to. So part of that deconditioning work is to give yourself permission to do things that other people might not understand or like or think is extreme, such as sleeping alone in your own separate bedroom when you're married, or releasing relationships with people who have toxic energy even though nobody else can sense it, or giving yourself permission to not keep up with your generator partner. You might not be their partner in crime who can do everything with them. Challenge number 3 of having an open sacral center is not knowing when enough is enough, not knowing when to say when. So it can be quite challenging as a non-sacral type to pull your energy out of something. This is because you don't have the internal mechanism that generators and manifesting generators have with their sacral response, which is constantly telling them, I have energy for this, I don't have energy for that. I remember once being on vacation with my cousins, and all my cousins have kids. So I was in a beach house with, 20 to 30 people just packed in, and I was just starting to give human design readings. So I was practicing on everyone. And, everyone was a generator or manifesting generators except for me and a teenage boy cousin who was a projector. And I remember once watching him at breakfast just eat bowl after bowl of sugary cereal and just not stopping. And this can often happen, especially when you're around all that buzzing energy of generators. Likewise, the non-sacral types can become workaholics, just not knowing when to stop, not knowing when to pull out their energy, getting really overly absorbed in work. So when you're trying to work many hours in a row, just know that you're trying to operate like somebody that you're not. So schedule in rest, work in spurts. That can often be really helpful. You don't need to be doing something all the time, and just know that the way you're meant to work isn't going to look like the way that most people are meant to work. Challenge number 4 is having weaker boundaries. You might find that with the open sacral center, boundaries are a bit more challenging for you, especially around work and sex. And this is because it can be difficult when you have an open sacral center to pull out of somebody's energy. You can get really absorbed into somebody's energy. And this happens to me from time to time in client sessions where I get so absorbed into somebody's energy, especially because I'm a projector and our aura is absorbing, that I don't end the client session on time. So for me, better boundaries would look like ending client sessions on time. Now, in the realm of sex, you might find that you take on your partner's sexual proclivities or amplify their sexuality, or you might find that with different partners, you're different sexually, and none of this is a negative thing. It just is something you might want to be aware of. I find that it's helpful to work with somebody, a professional, on having better boundaries, but it doesn't have to be from this pathological or traumatic origin. It can just be a matter of your energetics and a place of learning for you, because often where we have our open centers, they can show us where we have life lessons. The good news is that your open centers also show you where you're here to be the most wise once you've mastered the lessons of that open center. So with the open sacral center, the lessons that you need to master from the challenges that I just laid out are: number 1, learn to honor when your energy is there and when it's not. Number 2, learn to take space. Number 3, learn when enough is enough. And number 4, learn to have better boundaries. So here's what the non-sacral types are meant to be wise about, and you might want to consider how to incorporate these gifts into your current career or into your personal life. So the first is you have the gift of helping others use their energy more efficiently. You have this sensitivity, this heightened sensitivity to how other people feel about their work. So you can really help them with work-life balance. You can help them avoid burnout. You can be wise about creativity and passion. You can be wise about sex and pleasure, and you can be wise about boundaries. All right, I am finally getting to it. How can you be successful and make money when you're not here to operate like 70% of the population? Here are some tips for you. Number one, find work where you have flexibility in your schedule so you don't have to work long hours. I think the pandemic really served the non-sacral types in this regard, with a lot of more people working from home or being able to have more flexibility in how they worked. Number two, start untying your value from how productive you can be or from your output, and start tying it to something else, like your perspective or your leadership skills. You really want to find a role that suits your energy. It is not about how productive you can be. Number three, allow in support. Support is really the key to non-sacral types success, so that you can really focus on doing what you're good at and somebody else can do all the busy work. I want to use Kris Jenner as an example of a successful non-sacral type. I told you I would bring it back to the Kardashians. She is the famous momager of the Kardashian-Jenner clan, and she is a projector. Projectors make really excellent managers because they can really guide people's energy efficiently, and she's really focused her daughter's passions to help them build their brands. Generators are really good at building empires, and then she's taken a percentage of their earnings in return. Actually, think Kris Jenner is the most successful of the Kardashian Jenners because she is truly the mastermind behind that $2.8 billion empire. I'll admit that this is not easy deconditioning work. I personally struggle with not being a consistent doer, especially in a space like YouTube where, they say consistency is key as a content creator. And I do sometimes compare myself to other projectors who are in the human design space who have a lot more output than I do, but I have to remind myself, number one, I don't know what teams and support they have behind the scenes, and I also don't know what burnout is occurring behind the scenes. I know for me that when I really try to push myself to, again, be something that I'm not, be a consistent doer, it usually results in diminishing returns. And that when I really rest, I mean really rest, that's usually when new opportunities or clients come in. So my motto is rest leads to more success. It takes a lot of courage and trust to work differently from the status quo, but as a non-sacral type, you can really model for others how success can come through less hustle, which I believe is the direction our culture is moving in. So those of us with an open sacral center might as well take the lead. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of your energy and of each other. Bye.